I'm Stuart Webster Spriggs and I'm here to answer your questions. What initially drew you to a career in the rail industry? It was an advert in a local paper. It was 2001. I had no idea about the rail industry, but I needed a job, and it had quality in its title. So I acquired a vehicle, drove to Scunthorpe, took me 3 hours, had a 20-minute interview, thought I haven't got that, drove another 3 hours back, and then 3 months later I got offered the job. So that's how it all began for me. Do you have any regrets? Been a few, but too few to mention. So no, not really, I don't think. You're always going to have regrets, but they're learning opportunities for me, I think. So no, not really. I think. Is it true you ride motorbikes? Yes, it is. So yeah, that might sound a bit strange given my position, but it makes me a better driver. Because riding motorbikes, you've got to be switched on 100% of the time. You've got to consider that everybody out there is trying to kill you. So anticipate. So yeah, I think, you know, riding motorbikes makes me a safer person, bizarrely. I've just come back from a first proper sort of motorbike tour, which was just under 1,000 miles around the south coast. Really enjoyable, and I made it back in one piece. So yeah, all good.
What do you ride?
Harley Davidson. So I've always wanted one. And when I turned 50, I thought, oh, if I'm not going to do it now, I'm never going to do it. So I only did my test 18 months ago, something like that. And then, yeah, straight onto a Harley Davidson. Because I'm not into race bikes or anything like that, not anymore anyway. What's the most unusual job you've ever had? Ooh. So I had a variety of different jobs. I think the most unusual one, probably the worst one, where I lasted a sum total of 2 days, was I had a job at the print, and it was printing the Sun and the Star newspaper down in Wapping. And to get into the print, you had to start right at the very bottom, and that meant that you were a cleaner. But a cleaner in the print is radically different to what you consider the stereotypical cleaner to be. The job was basically, at the end of the print run, you was mummified almost head to toe with tissue paper and sent into the machines to clean the machines. So almost, if I'm being crude, you were a human Tampax. You were sent through to clean the ink from the inside of the machines as you were walking through, or crawling through, as the case may be. It was claustrophobic, probably highly illegal, but that's the way it was done then. So yeah, 2 days that lasted. And I thought, that's not for me. Thank you very much. Pay was really good though. Did you work in another sector before coming to rail? Yes. So when I left university, I worked in the automotive sector. So I worked for a supplier to Ford's, Land Rover, as was. Basically sound deadening materials and carpets for those vehicles. The automotive industry was radically different to the rail industry. It was all about quality. You know, we've talked about cost of quality, that was everything in the automotive industry. Safety, not so much. So this was a real change coming into rail from automotive. If you could have dinner with any famous figure from history, who would it be and why? Donald Trump, 100%. He's the most fascinating person. It's just bizarre, and you wouldn't get a word in edgeways, so you'd just be listening, but obviously you'd have the best meal ever and you'd be in the best company ever. But yeah, I'm sorry, but it's my guilty pleasure. I'm fascinated in the news about all the things that he does, so yeah, Donald Trump for me. Would you ever jump out of a plane? Absolutely not. No, that's not my idea of fun. I get on a plane to go somewhere and I pay for that, and I'd rather pay for the full journey than jump out midway through. So no, that's not for me at all. You know, and people do it for charity, and that's commendable, but I'd much rather do anything else than jump out of a plane. That's not for me. Why did you choose to work in safety? More money. So I originally started in quality as a quality assurance officer, and I quickly realised that the safety boys and girls were earning more than me. So I thought, well, there's nothing they're doing that I can't do. So I thought, well, I'll change direction. So I amalgamated quality and safety, and then environment. So yeah, it's not a great reason, but that's the reason, if I'm being honest. Is there anything you've seen that makes you think that health and safety has gone mad? Yes, lots. There's lots of little examples, and unfortunately the claim culture has driven a lot of that, in terms of, people will put in claims, and we have, as a business, to defend ourselves, and therefore we go way too far in terms of management of health and safety sometimes. Again, in the podcast, I spoke about the things that we need to give responsibility to the people that actually deliver the work, rather than spoon feed them so they don't think for themselves. So that's the biggest area. And the last one. If you could invent something to make your life easier, what would it be? Teleportation, I think. There's so many places I want to go to, so teleportation would be absolutely fantastic. Spend an awful lot of time travelling, so I think that would make my life infinitely easier. So thank you for your questions.